Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I have for you this adorable 5 by 7.5 folio that I designed for Country Craft Creations using their exclusive collection, Blossoms in Springtime. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside in just a minute, and I'll give you a tutorial. Stay tuned. I love how this little folio turned out using the gorgeous springtime Blossoms in Springtime paper collection from Country Craft Creations. This is made out of cardstock, made out of artisan cardstock and the paper collection. It is, as I said, 5 by 7.5 and has just a 1/2 inch spine. And what I did here on the front, of course, is use the pattern paper from the collection. I chose to mat. I used the summer ivory cardstock to make the base. And then I used a little bit of white artisan cardstock to mat around the blue. You can barely see it here on the spine and on the back. And then I put I cut a strip of the paper and made a little border at the top and added the lace and some buttons. And then I used one of the tags that I matted to the summer ivory. And of course I arranged this bow made out of the crumpled seam binding ribbon from Country Craft Creations. I added some of the natural button twine string, flowers from a stash. These were more of a gold color, golden yellow or dark yellow, so I took paint that I had, just a light yellow paint, and I painted my flowers to make them yellow to match the ribbon better. So you can do that. You can alter things like that. So I have the cream colored flowers and the yellow from my stash, and of course I added from the border strips, "Life is a beautiful field of flowers. Welcome spring." So let's take a look inside. I have a double tie closure here with the cream and the yellow seam binding ribbon, and it opens up. So here on the front you have these two flaps. So you can see part of the inside. You have the wider flap, and I made these match with the pattern paper of the flowers. You open this one, we have the little bunnies. These guys are so cute. All the little animals in this collection. If you haven't checked out this particular Blossoms in Springtime collection, you really should. It is a wonderful spring collection. It's from last year. It's exclusive to Country Craft Creations. It's always available. Um, Beautiful floral images, the pastel colors, and just the images of the little animals for Easter is just adorable. So I think you'd really, really like making an album, a folio, or whatever, cards out of this paper collection. So I did use the 12 by 12. So inside here, this is a double pocket. I'm just going to turn it to the right, and I'll show you that later. Here I have a flap that I put a banner from the cut-aparts for a tuck spot, and then I just used a piece of the paper to kind of make a flat tag. So that just slides into there. You could put photos here, some journaling. This flips back and have the same on the other side with another banner. Then it has a pocket, and inside the pocket I have this tag that I made. The collection comes with a sheet of tags. Super, super cute. These little guys are just so, look at their little faces, so cute. I used a bit of the crinkled ribbon, which I do, which is spritzing it with water and crinkling it in my hand and let it dry. This is a little booklet that I made. It is just made out of cardstock that I had left over. So the full size is 7 by 6. And of course I scored it in half and folded it in half. Pattern paper on the front and the back, the cute little bunny from the cut-aparts. Open it up, and I glued in paper just at the top. Here, scraps of the paper that I had. And then this is one of the tags. Folded it in half and just glued it right on the center. So that just kind of gives you a different look there, and that tucks inside that pocket. Now these are pockets here. We have this little pocket here on the side. I did use my envelope punch for it. So I just put different tags in here. This is a scrap of the paper where I rounded the corners. This is one of the cut apart tags, and this is one of the tags folded in half that has this journaling writing on there. Then down here, I used a strip here and punched out with circles from the cut aparts. Put some here. These little duckies, I just adore these in the basket with the flowers. They are so, so sweet. So this flips this away and this way. On the back side, it's the opposite, the pockets on the bottom. So again, a strip from the cut aparts and the butterflies in the circle. This is a little tag that comes with the collection. Another scrap of paper that I just rounded the corners. Another one of the cut aparts that I folded in half, like that. And then this is a scrap of paper that I just folded. It was a 12 by 12, I think. No, I cut it down. Sorry. This and because it was too thick the other way. This is 7-inch, and then I've just folded it into thirds and made a little booklet that tucks in like that. And the super sweet little baby chicks. I had baby chicks when I was a kid. I actually had one that was a pet because the mother hen didn't like him because all the others were black. He was yellow. She pecked him on the head. So we got to keep him when I was a kid. He became a pet. His name was Peepsy, and he was a rooster, and he followed me and my mother around all the time. So love this little image. And again, I put the 3 little circles that I punched out there. Oh, let me put my little tag back. Okay. This flap opens back. Then we have this tag from the collection that I did mat to cardstock to make it heavier. I added this adorable little bunny of the blue on the background, and then some of the carrots paper that comes in the collection, and then this little rabbit. And then I made this waterfall, and I did on this one mat all of it so that you could see all the pretty papers. This, the blue, the pink flowers, more of the blue. This one has a circle to show that even though it's the last flap, it lifts up, and then we have a hidden place under there. This was an accident, and I show you that in the tutorial. So then this goes in and holds it in place. And over here, I did add a flat pattern paper pocket so that I could tuck in this tag from the collection. I resized the top because I was folded 2 tags folded together to make kind of a booklet. I think this was the other piece I cut down. So it was from my scraps 5 1/4 by 5 3/4, and I just scored it and folded it in half to kind of make a pattern paper piece that goes in there to really decorate that up. So that is my folio with blossoms in springtime. I do have a tutorial for this, so it will be coming up next, so stay tuned for that. Let me tie this back together, and there will be a slideshow probably of some pictures of this at the end of the tutorial. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned. To create the folio, I will be using the 12 by 12 double-sided Blossoms in Springtime exclusive paper collection by Country Craft Creations, and the Summer Ivory artisan cardstock, as well as some of the scraps that I had left over from using this paper collection last year. So that's what we're going to use, as well as our adhesive. So let's get started. I will cut out my pieces and share the measurements with you on screen. To create the main base of the folio, you need 2 pieces of the 12 by 12 cardstock, cut 1 to 7 1/2 by 10 and 1 to 7 1/2 by 8 3/4. We're going to take the 7 1/2 by 10, put your 10 in at the top, score at 4 1/4, four and a half, and 9 1/2. Take your 7 1/2 by 8 3/4 piece, put the 8 3/4 in at the top, score at a 1/2 inch and 5 1/2. Okay, so let's move the scoreboard out of the way. And then we're going to fold our score lines and burnish. And this is going to make the outer part of our folio. So we've got a little 1/4 inch gusset here, and we've got a 1/2 inch spine here where we join the two together like that. And I folded and burnished those lines for the 1/2 inch, but I opened them back up, and I'm going to take my glue. I'm using the Art Glitter Glue, and I'm just going to put glue right here in the 1/2 inch section only. This is going to make our 1/2 inch spine. So I'm going to take this other 1/2 inch and line it right into the one that I just put the glue on. Line it up right along the line. Make sure it's even at the top and the bottom, and then burnish that. And turn it over, burnish the back side as well. So that gives us a double thickness for our little 1/2 inch spine there. And we have that looking like that. For the rest of your cardstock pieces, you'll need 2 more full sheets and all the scraps that you have left over. You should have enough to do that. If not, you might need 3 pieces of the elements that you need for your little folio. So you need to cut for a flap. You need one that is 7.5 by 3.5. For a pocket that's flat on the bottom, you need one that is 8.5 by 2.25. I'll go over the scoring marks later. For a booklet, we need one that is 6 by 7. For our second pocket element that we're going to make, we're going to do 2. So you need 2 pieces that are 4.5 by 9.5. You need hinges for those pockets, so you need to cut 2 that are 3 3/4 by 1.25. Our third pocket, we need 1 piece that is 5.25 by 3.25, and then we need 5 waterfall pieces that are 3.5 by 4.25. So I'm going to flip these all over, and I will go over the scoring with you next. For your flap, which is the 7.5 by 3.5 inch piece, you're going to put your 3.5 in at the top and make a 1/2 inch score mark. So score the 3.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. That is your flap. For your flat bottomed pocket on the edge, you're going to take 1 piece that's 8.5 by 2.25. We're going to score the 8.5 inch piece at a 1/2 inch and at 8. Okay. The booklet, we're going to score that in half. So this is your 6 by 7. You're going to put the 7 in at the top, and we're going to score it in half at 3.5. Okay. Then for your 2 other pockets, your second set of pockets, you're going to score your 9.5 inch side at 2 and 5 3/4. Do both of these the same. Put your 9.5 in at the top, score at, did I cut this one crooked? I think this one's cut crooked. Let me double check my cutting here on this one. I recut that piece because it was a little bit crooked on one edge. So you put your 9.5 in at the top, and you're going to score at 2 inch and at 5 3/4. So I double checked the other piece, and it was cut straight. So we're good. We're good with those 2 pieces there. Your little hinges, you need 2 that are 3 3/4 by 1.25. We're going to put the 1.25 in at the top. And we're going to score at a 1/4 inch. Whoops, kind of hard here. They move around. 1/4 inch 5/8 and at 1 inch. So that gives me a 1/4 inch on each side and 2 3/8 in the middle. So we'll do the second one the same way. The 1 1/4 in at the top, score at a 1/4 inch. 5/8 and 1. Okay, so there's the hinges. Then for our third pocket, we have the 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. We're going to score our 5 1/4 inch side at a 1/2 inch. Turn, score your 3 1/4 side at a 1/2 inch. Turn and score the other end of your 5 1/4 at a 1/2 inch. Okay, there's the pocket. Now for our waterfall pieces, we have 5 of these. For our waterfalls, we have 5 pieces that are 3 1/2 by 4 1/4. We're going to put the 3 1/2 on each one at the top and score at a 1/2 inch. These are just small waterfalls. So your 3 1/2 inch at the top, score at a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. The fourth one, score the 3 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch. And the last one. Okay, so now we're ready to put all this together. So put this out of the way and we'll get started on that. Okay, so we have everything scored, cut, and scored, and we're ready to start assembling the folio, and then we'll put the pattern paper in later. My camera's kind of going crazy with its focusing. I don't know why, so I'll put this sheet here maybe to help everybody straighten up. So this is your folio. You've got your 1/2 inch spine here. You've got this opening up like this, and then this here. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our pocket number 1, which just has the 2 score lines on each end. It's flat down here. We do need to take our envelope punch board, if you have that. If you do not, then use a circle punch to make a notch. So in the pocket here, which measures, when we fold up the corners, measures 7 1/2. So the halfway point for 7 1/2 is 3 is 6, 3 1/2 is 7. So 3 3/4 should be the center of this. So I'll line up this edge on 3 3/4 right there. And I'm just going to punch. So that gives me that notch there. I love the envelope punch board for notches. And then I will show you how to do that for your matting as well when we get to that point. So the first thing we're going to do is put this flap in. And so this one is the 7 1/2 by 3 1/2. We scored the 3 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch. So we're going to take our glue and we're going to make sure that it does not glue into that 1/4 inch space. You want it to the right of the second score line. I'll fold it up so you can see it maybe a little better. So you put your glue on your 1/2 inch flap. Hang on a second. Okay, I stopped for lunch and then, okay. So get your glue, put it on the 1/2 inch attachment flap. Okay, the fold goes towards the fold of the second score line. And you make sure you line up the bottom and the top here, right along the fold. You want to make sure you're not going over your little 1/4 inch. Open that up and burnish. Wipe off any glue. Okay, so then we have that flap. Then we take the pocket that we punched, we folded the sides, and it's going to go right over that 1/2 inch that we just did. Now, if you want to keep things from snagging up here, let's take our scissors, and on the top edge only, just do kind of a miter from the score line in, just like this. Okay, Can you see there? Okay, so then fold these back. So the glue is going to go along the bottom edge, the straight edge that doesn't have the notch. Fold back your hinge. Put that on the back side of it where it's folded. It's kind of like a flat pocket, but it does have the hinges on the sides. So line up the fold along the edge of the page, the top and the bottom, and along the fold in here. So just make sure that your pocket is straight, which mine wasn't, and then that one. And it's about a 1/16 of an inch from the edge of this fold. I didn't want it completely in it. So burnish that to make sure it stays down. And we'll pattern all this after we get it assembled, okay? So burnish your pockets. So we have our pockets here, a pocket. The booklet, which was your 6x7, you're just going to be scored on the 7-inch side at 3.5 and half at the half mark. So just burnish that in half, and that's going to tuck inside the pocket there, okay? So we have that side done like that. Now we're ready for this part here. So this is little pocket that slips on these hinges. We've got 2 hinges here. Okay, let's put the hinges together first. So you have your hinge, which has a 1/4 inch on each side and a 3/8 in the middle. You're going to fold it right in the middle, okay? And that's where you're going to put the glue, is on one of the 3/8 inch sections. Bring them together. Burnish that. Make sure I'm still in the frame of the camera here. Burnish that where you put the glue. Push out any excess that you might get. Of course, I've got to clean my table off every time I do that. Then fold the little 1/4 inches back and burnish them. They're going to be loose like that. Okay, now to make sure that it fits in our pocket, I'm going to take my scissors and put it at the score line here and do an angle cut on each 3/8 inch hinge. So once it's cut, you've got your little 1/4 inch wings and your hinge. I'm going to grab my pocket and make sure that it's going to fit, and it will. Okay, so let's do the other hinge the same way. We're going to fold and burnish in half. We're going to put the glue in the center where the fold is on just the 3/8. I'm going to put them together, burnish, make sure you press out all that excess glue out the end. Fold back the 1/4 inch to make a wing, and the other one. Now we have 2 1/4 inch wings and a 3/8 hinge. We take our scissors and we put it at the fold and cut in. Okay, just like that. Now then, in your 1/2 inch space here, this is where these hinges are going to go. And you're going to need to look at it because sometimes they're a little bit wider once you put them together. So I'm just going to take my scissors and trim just a smidge off one of them, one of the 1/4 inches, and kind of eyeball it, look at it, and trim a little bit off the other side too. So you can put them together if you want to. And you can do it in your trimmer if you're more comfortable with that. Just trim off, because you want those to fit in that 1/2 inch section there. That one does now. I know this one's not going to fit. So I'm going to flatten it and just trim a little bit off. And then check it. Okay. Now then we check. I'm going to turn this on its side, and I'm going to check its length. Place this one, the end, down here. Butt this one up to it, and it should fit within that end down there. Okay, so turn it over and glue on the little wings, the back sides that you trim down, and the end of the wing, match that up in that 1/2 inch section to the bottom of the page here. Make sure it stays within the spine. Burnish those. Wipe off any glue that might ooze out. Go. Make sure you burnish it really well. We want it to stay. And we're going to line up this other one. Okay. Same thing, the glue on the little 1/4 inch hinges back here. Butt it up to the one that you just put down. Make sure they stay within our 1/2 inch and burnish. Okay. Now then, our pocket. Let's turn this back. So you're going to turn this so it looks like this. You've got your wider one here, fold it down, and then the short one folds up. Okay? I want a notch here with my envelope punch board. And these pockets measure 4 1/2, so that means 2 1/4 is the 1/2 inch, the halfway mark. So 2 1/4 on the edge and punch. Do the same thing on the second one. Fold the wider down, shorter one goes up. We open it back up, put it at 2 1/4 and punch. Okay? Now then, we're going to make a pocket. We're going to put glue right on the 2 sides, just the 2 ends, short ends, like this and here. Okay, this folds up to create a pocket like this. Burnish those, seal it up. Do the same with the other one. Oops, that's not it. This right here. Okay, the glue on the 2 short ends on the inside. Fold it up to make the pocket. Squeeze out any excess glue sides here. So like you have a pocket here. Now we're ready to put this onto the hinge. So with your pocket facing like this is going to fit over it right here. I'm just going to dry fit it and make sure everything lines up right. Okay, and it stays within the page. So now we're ready to put these on. It's just like an album hinge. So I'm going to put glue, and I'm not going to put it all the way down to the fold. I'm going to put it on the top part here, and then about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. I'm going to do it on both sides. Take my pocket, open it up, see the sleeve, make sure this pocket's facing this way. Slip that over the hinge, burnish it, I'm going to lay it down, make sure it's lining up even, so it should be about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of your fold when it's laying down. And then that helps you to line it up. Make sure it stays within the folio, and I burnished both sides. So that seals it up. Now we have a pocket here. Okay? Same thing with this one. Now if you wanted to reverse it and put your this pocket here on the back side, you could, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it, switch it up a little bit. So I have the pocket here and the solid. So I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to put my pocket here facing this way and the solid on the other side. Make sure my notch is here on the bottom. Right here, I'm going to put my glue again on the top side and not put it all the way down. And let's slide this over it, open it up. slide it over that little hinge, press it down, and I'm going to lay it down and see how they line up. Okay, looks pretty good. Burnish that. And the other way, a little tight there. May have got them too close together right there. Okay, one goes this way and that way. So if it kind of hangs in there, just kind of burnish it in there maybe a little bit. So might have worked better going the other way, but I think once I start flipping them, they're going to work. Okay, so there's the pockets in. And now we need to make this pocket. So it was scored on 3 sides. So you angle cut here where they intersect. So I'll show you like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and miter the top edge just from the score line in of that hinge. I'm going to fold it and burnish this bottom part. Burnish the 2 sides. Make sure that they don't overlap. Get it like that. So now we need a notch for this pocket. So let's grab the punch board. And this pocket measures 4 1/4. So 2 1/8 is my halfway with this folded in. 2 1/8 and punch. You see it? There we go. Clean up some of my trash here. Okay. So this pocket is going to go down here on the bottom. It's not going to fit all the way across. So we're going to have to put our pattern paper here. And then our waterfalls are going to fit up above. So you go ahead and fold and burnish all your 1/2 inches on those. And then we'll pick out the pattern paper for that section. So let's decide on what paper would look good right back here. And I need a piece that is, it's going to go from the fold line to the other fold line. That's 5 inches. So 4 7/8, 5, and that's 7 1/2, 4 7/8 by 7 3/8. That's the pattern paper. Okay, so I'm going to go cut that and then we'll be ready to glue that in. Okay, so I chose this floral piece here and cut it to 4 7/8 by 7 3/8 tall. So I could use either side. That's cute, but I think I'll probably be using it somewhere else. So remember, this paper does not go over this area where the hinge is because that's the fold of the folio. So it's got to go in just this 5-inch piece from this fold, the edge of the hinge, to this fold. Ink your pages if you want to before you glue them in. With my lighter colors, I tend to not ink. Because if you like inking, then go ahead and do that. If you like to double mat, you could also do that on these pages like this. This is going to have the waterfall on it, so I'm not going to put a whole lot on there. So I'm just looking at this from side to side and lining it up from top and bottom, centering it, press it in with my hands, and burnish that in. Okay, so we've got that on there. So now let's do some waterfalls. Now then, they're going to start up here at the top edge. And I'm going to center it. So these are 4 1/4, and this space is 5. So your 4 1/4 should be about 3/8 on each side. So my first one, I'm going to line my ruler up so I can see where 3/8 is. I'm going to put glue on the 1/2 inch right here. The fold, it's got to go along the edge of the folio about 3/8 of an inch from the fold. So there's 1, 2, 3. I've got that. And now I want to make sure I'm putting it all the way straight across the top. Right here at the top of my folio. Okay. Double check. It's 3/8. Yes. Okay. So burnish that in. So you get that first one in. Then you're going to burnish that. Flip it open. So you got 3/8 about on each side. You're going to line up the fold of the next one. To the bottom of the cardstock of the one you just put down. Butt it right up to it. So put your glue. And push it right on up there. Make sure they line up on each end. I fold this down to kind of see if everything is going in properly. Straight across here. Burnish that one. Lift it up and burnish. Wipe off any glue. Grab your next one. And you're going to continue each one the same way. Okay, so I have all 5 in. And they're pretty straight. Some of my cutting may have been off a little bit. And then the pocket is going to fit right under here. And I'm going to bring it, and I probably should not have done the notch on that one. I think it's going to be okay. I think it'll be okay. So we'll put our glue on the flaps on the back. If I don't like that notch in there, I may put a solid piece under there or something. I don't know. I'll give you a warning to maybe, if I decide the notch doesn't look right, to not put a notch. So I'm going to put my ruler in here to kind of help me stay straight. And I'm going to put this pocket right here on the bottom. Over just a little bit. It's got to stay straight with the waterfalls. There we go. It's a little bit better there. Okay. Okay, so then once you have it where you want it, go ahead and burnish that down. And there's our pocket, and we'll make a tag that will go in the pocket for these waterfalls. So I think this one here, I may end up having to cut it down a little bit. This one right here on the top, the bottom, so that it just catches at the very edge of that, so that it will lift up. But I'll decide that later and let you know on that for sure. So that is the folio. Just folds in like that. So you can put a ribbon. We're going to put a ribbon closure on it. I'm going to decide where I want this to go. It goes on the inside, yeah. Best on the inside. So that like that. So ribbon will go here and here, and I'm going to look at the colors, and then I'm going to cut up my pattern papers and then show you which ones I've cut out, and then I'll get those glued in off camera. I've decided to put the blue dot on the front and back cover, and I matted these to white artisan cardstock. I already put the back spine one on, which is just a piece of the blue and some of the white. But before we put these on, we want to do our ribbon. So I have 2 pieces of yellow and 2 of the white that are about 18 inches each. So I decided to go with yellow instead of blue because I couldn't match up the blue exactly, and there is yellow in the design paper. So I'm going to take my score tape here and take 2 pieces. I'm going to tape, just eyeballing it halfway down here. Put this one down about 1/4 of an inch from the inside edge. I'm going to peel this up. So I held the yellow one down, And I'm going to put the blue one, I mean, not the blue, the white ribbon over it. Press that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue my matted blue one on. There's one that's looks a little neater than the other. But anyway, we're going to glue that on. So put glue on the back. So cut that out to fit. So the cover is 5 by 7.5. So the white was cut out at 4 7/8 wide and 5 3/8 tall. And then the blue was cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than the white. Whoop. Can never, ever get these on straight. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, that'll do pretty good. Okay, I'm going to burnish that down over the ribbon. Get that on really good. Of course, I'm not finished decorating. We'll be putting other things on the cover. Turn it around, and now we're going to put our tape on the back side. Put down a piece of tape here. Pull that off. Put the yellow one down first. Kind of line them up together. Pretty good. Here we go. Da, da, da. Okay. And then more tape over that so that I can put the white one down. I like using more than just a single piece of ribbon. I just think it makes the bow, when you tie it, so pretty. So take the white one and line it up right over the top. And then we can go ahead and mat the back side now. And then off camera, I will go ahead and pick out my pattern papers for the inside. I will show you what I picked. Everything's going to be cut. I'm not going to give you the measurements for all those. Everything will be cut at 1/8 of an inch smaller in height and width. I will show you how to do the notches with the envelope punch board to make them fit. And let's see if we can get this one on halfway decent. Needs to go up a little bit. Oops. I said I never can get these guys exactly straight. And turn it sideways. Turn it sideways. Maybe I can do that a little better. Oop, I don't want my ribbon in there. Okay, that looks pretty good for me. It'll do for me. So I'll burnish that down really well. I have to open this up and flatten it down. Okay, so now we have our ribbons on and our pattern paper for our front and back cover. So when this closes up, I'm going to go ahead and tie these so I can see. I always cut my ribbons longer because I'm afraid that I'll have them too short and then I won't like my bow and the tails. So I'm going to just tie my loop. I know they're probably too long. But that's okay. I'm all right with that because I like to crinkle them up. So I'll tie my bow like that. And I'm going to bring this down and I tie a knot with both of them. So I'm going to leave it about that length, whatever that is, angle cut. Save those if I want to use it for tags. Bring this down. So it looks like I left it about the tail of after the bow, but that's not going to be accurate, about 7.5 inches or so. So tie this. Get it approximately the same. Close. Pull that and trim. Okay. So there's that, and I will probably crinkle this up, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut some pattern papers for the inside, and then I will show you those before I glue them in. I will show you how to do the notches for the ones that have notches, and then we'll glue that in, and I'll finish decorating. Okay, so I have all my pattern papers cut. Remember to cut them 1/8 of an inch shorter than the height, 1/8 of an inch shorter than the width, because I'm not going to give you each individual. And choose the patterns that you want on different pages. I use, like here, the rock stone on some of these flaps on the inside. Now, I did want to share with you, I'll put it on the screen so that you will know at the time. I took my bone folder and peeled up these short pockets here on the side, because you want to put this pattern paper in the top and before you seal up the sides of your pocket. Okay, so like this one here, where this pocket, let me pull this up so you see where the notched pocket is, the small pocket. You want to put this down here first, and I just cut it enough in the height to go below the notch. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down so that I can go ahead and also show you how to do the notch with your pattern paper if you're using the envelope punch board. So get this one attached to this pocket. And we want to make sure we get it straight. Lately I'm having a heck of a time being straight with some of these things. Okay, burnish that down. So you see, it doesn't have to cover the whole way unless you just want it to. Then you seal the pocket up here on the short sides. Otherwise, you can't get your paper in, and it looks too short on the sides. So I'm going to reburnish those. Okay, so we have a notch. So for each piece of paper that you have patterned for a notch, you take your envelope punch board, and this notch, since this pocket was, when folded in, was 4.5, and I notched it at 2.5, which is the center, 2.5. So you take the piece that you're going to use, put it at the 2.5, but that's not where you want to punch it, because you see it's going to be off-centered. So I have a 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, I'm sorry, trimmed down. So if I back this up just between the 3/8 and the half, double sure. Some people do it this way and put a mark in the center, so that would be right there, and I can look at that and see. So what did I say? It was 2.25. Yeah, that's right. You back it up, you put it on 2.25, and just put it halfway between the 1/8 and the 1/4 and punch. I had it on the wrong one, that's why it looked wrong. Okay, so that cut out that pencil mark. But now when I place this on here, it's going to be lined up with that notch. So go ahead and put your paper on. And that's how you do it on each one that you punched a notch, not a knot, but a notch. Measure your pocket to see what the width of it was, and then you put the pattern paper in at that half mark, but then back it off just a 1/16 of an inch, just a tiny bit. So then you put that on and see it notches in there correctly, and that pocket is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and on all my pieces here, mat everything down, and I'll come back and show you everything once it's all in. As you can see here, I've paper clipped everything where I want it to go, including my waterfalls. I'm going to do front and back. So all that. So I'm going to get all that done, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have all the pattern papers glued on. Of course, I have the front spine and the back. Already had that done, matted with a little bit of white. Got my ribbons here. So when you open it up, I have this floor pieces here on the flaps, here on the right and the left. When you open this one back, I have the bunnies here. And here I have that rock wall. And then here I have the waterfall. I did the blue dot here. Underneath the waterfall, I did this floral piece like this one. I have a tag. I'm going to mat this to some cardstock to make it a little bit heavier. And then I did mat all the flaps. I do need to put the strips in there, scraps of paper in there. I did cut this one down and matted it in the blue like that, so you can see the white background in that. So you ended up actually with 4 flaps and then this here where I cut it down. This just holds it in. I did add little, just under 1/4 inch strips here to cover where the hinge goes. And so this flips back. And I did get this one a little too tight in here. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to fix that. I don't know if I can trim anything off or not. It's just very tiny. I may be able to sand it. But that's the pockets here. I did the little chicks. They're so adorable, the little chicks and the ducklings. Aren't they cute? So that's like that, a pocket up there. Then this flap here, where it's a good place to put some small photos on each side, I did in the rock wall. I did this floral piece here for the pocket. And then I added the little lambs. I think they're so cute there in that with the flowers. And then the flowers in the pink on the booklet. And I may mat some white cardstock in there. So that's the matted book folio. I'm going to do some decorating and then I will show you that and we'll be finished. Okay, so I've got my album folio completely done, all decorated. I explain more about this at the front of the video, which you have probably already seen. So this concludes the tutorial portion of this. I will show some slideshow pictures at the end as we close out the video. This was so easy to make. I think you'll really enjoy making it. It's a 5 by 7.5, as I mentioned before. Folio with just a 1/2 inch spine, super easy. I think I forgot to share that I did wrap the button twine around the center and then tied it in a bow inside here. Let me show you really quick. I know I forgot that in the walkthrough. So see how I wrapped it through just for a decorative look on each side, and it kind of hides those little 1/4 inch hinges. Couldn't even think what they're called. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for following along, for being a subscriber to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you. It's really easy. If there's a little heart down on the bottom of the screen, down below, down here somewhere, you can just click on that. Or down in the text of the video, there should be a bar or box or word that says subscribe. Click on that. And when you do click on subscribe, if you'll click on the bell at that time, then you'll be subscribed and you'll receive a notification for every time I do a video. That way you'll be one of the first to see this, because sometimes it takes me a while to share on social media that I have a video up. So if you're a subscriber and you are get notifications, then you'll be the first to know, so you can watch it right off as soon as I've uploaded it. I try to have videos every week. Don't make it all the time, but I do try to get those every week. Also give me a like, which is a thumbs up, down below somewhere, and that helps my channel to grow. For more people who like these kind of projects, it will show up more. My videos will show up more the more likes that I have. So I appreciate that very much. If you would give me that opportunity, if you just take a few minutes to click like. And as always, shop at countrycraftcreations.com. She has a ton of exclusive papers. This is a beautiful one for springtime and Easter. You want to check that out. That was released last year, but it's still available in the store if you didn't get a chance. Or maybe you have it in your stash and you want to make something. Consider my little springtime folio here. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you all so very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.